Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Division 2 video, and in this video I thought we'd take a moment to talk a bit more about some of the stuff we've learned over the past couple of days following announcements and having now had a chance to go hands-on with the game and experience some of what's new. There's still a lot of questions we need answered, but from our initial time going hands-on, paired with some developer interviews, there's definitely a lot of stuff to be excited about. So here are 9 things we've learned about the Division 2. Of course, if you do enjoy this video, then a like would be super appreciated, and be sure to comment down below and let us know if you have any more questions or things you'd like to get answered. Now, kicking things off at number 1, let's talk a little bit more about specializations. Admittedly, there's still a lot of stuff we don't know about these, but what we do know are that specializations are something that are presented to you once you hit level cap, level 30. Once you hit level 30, you have the opportunity to pick a specialization and begin leveling that up too. Each specialization comes with a signature weapon, a power weapon if you will, and apparently certain abilities or skills will also synergize better with certain specializations. So it may well be that you pick your skills to suit your specialization. The skill side of things is still pretty vague. Currently we know there are 3 specializations, whether there'll be more we don't know, but the ones shown off at E3 are the Survivalists, who can control their surroundings using traps and status effects. They are equipped with a precision crossbow as their signature weapon to take down their targets even in the harshest environments. You then have the Demolitionist, Agents of Chaos, focusing on disrupting enemy plans and entrenched positions using a grenade launcher as their signature weapon. And then finally you have the Sharpshooter, agents looking to take out their targets at range without them ever realizing what hit them. Sharpshooters can change the tide of battle from afar using a powerful sniper rifle as their signature weapon. Also, something cool we learned about the 50 cal is they can penetrate multiple targets and create a sort of shockwave in the process, so it's going to be a pretty meaty weapon. However, it's also important to note that while you pick a specialization at level 30, you're not bound to just one. You can pick all 3, level up all 3, but naturally you have to begin somewhere, so you'll just start off with whichever one you please. Moving on from there to number 2, no more bullet spongy enemies. Now if you played the Division 1, you'll be very familiar with bullet spongy enemies, and while they tweaked the time to kill over the years, ultimately it still made for a rather odd experience when you can pile hundreds of machine gun bullets into a human enemy's head. Doesn't really make too much sense in a Tom Clancy game that's supposed to be somewhat grounded in reality. Well, in Division 2, they worked hard to try and make the experience much better. Red bar enemies, your trash mobs if you will, they die very quickly now, as you'd expect. Meanwhile, bosses, they take advantage of this new armor system and have visible armor plating on their bodies. These are pieces that can be broken off in combat, and it helps to better answer why they can take a few more hits. Overall, the time to kill for enemies has been lowered, so it will feel a little more in line with what you'd expect when fighting human enemies, but at least when something does take more shots, it's going to be a little more plausible. Additionally, enemies have more weak points now too, so chasing those in combat is going to be key. Next up, in number 3, the Dark Zone is still present. Right now we have very little information on exactly how the Dark Zone will work this time around. However, in an interview with Julian Garrity, he explained that they have 2 years of learning behind them now, so they're obviously going to apply that to the Dark Zone experience to try and make it more enjoyable. But the fine details are still a mystery, so for now we simply know that there will still be a Dark Zone. Number 4, free DLC, and lots of it. Again, in an interview with Julian Garrity, he said that they were proud of the DLC expansions they released in Division 1, some of them providing some great new experiences like Underground, Survival, Last Stand, etc. However, they were also behind a paywall, thus limiting their exposure, so this time around, Division 2 is going to have a full year of free DLC. Throughout the year, there will be 3 DLC packs, launching every 3 months, and within these you'll get new modes, story missions and areas to explore. So if you dropped out on Division 1 and are considering jumping back in for number 2, then you're going to have a full year of content ahead of you. Moving on from there to number 5, settlements are key locations this time around. If you saw my Division 2 gameplay uploaded yesterday, then you would have had a very quick glimpse at this, but again, there's still more we have yet to discover. Around the open world, you'll have opportunities to help civilians in activities called control points, and completing these will allow civilian NPCs to take hold of a location and turn it into a settlement. So you can then deliver supplies to these NPCs to help them level up the settlement. Quite what happens when this is done, we still don't know, but these are going to be additional locations alongside the traditional safe houses, which are still present, that will be key in your endgame open world experience. Next up, number 6, there's going to be a twist at the end of the campaign. I'm going to start by dropping in an extract from the endgame video in here for you guys to see.
But we have a twist at the end of the campaign, which is a huge hook narratively and gameplay-wise that'll, take people by the scruff of the neck and drag them into endgame, and it's super compelling.
Now obviously this is a big mystery, but TwoSixNine had a really cool idea that I thought I'd share with you guys. He said, what if at the end of the campaign it makes you pick a faction or pick a side, and depending on what you choose, you're ultimately either rogue or not. Maybe this could then tie into some sort of grander global PvP system or something of that nature. Either way, just a random idea, but it'd be pretty cool to make such a drastic decision post-campaign. Then in number 7, 8-player raids have been confirmed. I mentioned them in passing in my video the other day, but since then they've actually been confirmed. They're going to provide players with a serious challenge end game and will be something exciting for players to dive into. Absolutely nothing else has been said about them just yet, but acknowledging that there will still be these large-scale 8-player activities, that is going to be awesome. And for those of you perhaps unfamiliar with the term, raids in other games are typically large-scale PvP activities. Imagine, if you will, a large dungeon, multiple bosses, encounters, challenges to overcome, and it all culminates in a big boss battle at the end with lots of sweet loot. They're epic activities and something that I wanted to see in Division since my very first time playing it. Moving on from there to number 8, there's going to be some interesting visual progression in your character too. One of the problems the first game had was that your character at the start of the game often looked very similar to your character at the end, and they wanted to work to change that. One thing they mentioned was that there will be exotic sets of gear that go together, and if you have all of them, you'll get a certain look different from that of regular gear. We also saw charms hanging off of agents' backpacks too, so here's hoping that's a little extra level of flair we can add. And then finally, in number 8, looting quality of life changes. Just a quick one, but also much appreciated. When looting items in the Division 2, instead of just picking them up and dismantling them later, you have more options this time around right from pickup. You can see on the screen right now, these options range from things like dismantle right away, loot into junk, and things like that. So when you start farming gear and chasing items, it's going to help you keep your bag from filling up with pointless rubbish that you ultimately need to delete later. But that, my friends, is pretty much it for the time being. Let's look at a few more things we've learned about the Division 2 following our hands-on time and some developer interviews. Again, there's lots more to talk about, so be sure to keep it locked if you want to stay up to date on the Division 2. But until then, thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.